We've had a lot of discussion about sales. We've had a lot of discussion about dealerships. So, Bob Palecchia, you are with Lexus, and you are local here to the New York area,
Right.
and you have been on the front lines of the sales conversation for a long time. And at the end of the day, we have to think about how do we help people understand what is the best vehicle for them based on what their lifestyle is, what their needs are for driving. So that conversation comes up a lot. We've talked about it a lot this weekend. So great to have you here on the panel, and we'll love to hear your insights.
I think the most important with the adoption is to find the right car for the customer, as you indicated. Find out their needs, their wants, and their driving habits is really important. Also, the ability to find the charger, have one installed. We live in a metropolitan area. I'll give Bronx as an example. A difficult installation, a difficult adaption of chargers. But you know, it's all about, in my case, being in retail, it's all about consumer demand, what the consumer wants currently. The future is electric. I'm all on board. Well, currently, through retail, what I'm finding out right now, hybrid and electrified, as Lexus says, is exploding.
Yeah. So no, Bob, you're not here as a representative of Lexus or Toyota, right? So we're just going to hold we're going to consider you to be a representative of all car salespeople across America. So that is.
I agree.
Right, from all brands.
I love that. I agree with that sentiment. That's great.
So, I guess one question is, and to some extent you may have answered it, but are pure EVs harder to sell than other kinds of cars?
So I can just, based on my situation, the Lexus store in Westchester, New York. When it first was adopted, the Toyota and Lexus used up a lot of their incentives through Prius through many years. So the only way they could adopt the $7,500 rebate was to lease a car. So I would say 99.9% of all EVs that we sold, which was the RZ, was leased. And it was leased for several reasons. Some people came in, a small majority, said, I want an electric car and this is what I want. And this is the truth. Most people were switched to a lower priced lease because the gas cars were much more expensive. Hybrids are even more expensive to lease. So it was an entry point, which probably was a good thing to start with because it introduced a lot of people to the technology.
But now the issue we're running into is with that credit being gone, is it now has to convert into this is an actual sale of a car based on its merits, right?
Well, that's my whole point is the electric market was a mandated market. It was paid by taxpayers to pay these mandates for solar, for any type of green energy. It wasn't the consumer saying, hey, this is what I want and I want it right now.
I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the mandate word. I think it was incentivized, because we have incentives and everything for fossil fuels, right?
I understand.
Yeah.
But how do we change an entire industry? The German industry, where machinists are very important, by 2030? I mean, the mandate was you cannot build another gas car past 2030.
So I think one thing that crosses my mind a lot, and you just kind of keyed on it, is that the people that were coming in, there was like that, you said small majority, they're like, nope, I've already done my homework, I want this car. The one thing that I think about all the time, and I say this regarding the dealer experience and how consumers are thinking, is I don't think a consumer is going to rush into your showroom to buy a car that runs on a fuel that they don't understand.
I agree 100%.
So you don't have to concern yourself on a hybrid sale or just a typical gas car sale with explaining fill-ups.
Correct, but even hybrid for my customers, a Lexus customer, which is historically an older customer, demographic, if I say the word hybrid to the wrong person, do I have to plug it in? Does it have a battery? No.
That's a great point.
I don't want it. Don't even, and for me, obviously I'm in retail, I need to sell cars. We offer what the consumer wants.
So I think what you just hit on is a great point, is the industry has done a very terrible job of communicating how these different vehicles operate. I think that language like hybrid, again, that was coined by Honda, Toyota. I mean, back in the day.
Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota. I mean, well, sorry. The Prius was first. The Insight, not so much. No, but.
That wasn't a car.
Yeah. So, but the coining of hybrid, it made sense by definition. It's a hybrid drivetrain, right? And so at the time, it's like, this is where the engineers went, well, that's what it is. And so the marketers went, well, that word works. Let's just use that in marketing.
Yeah.
And so that happened. But then all of a sudden we have, oh, that's a car that you can plug in to the battery, and it also runs on gas. So what should we call that? And someone went, do we just call it a plug-in hybrid? Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, that's great. Let's call it that. And then it turned into, well, does this car plug in and use gas at all ever? No, it just plugs in. So let's just call it a BEV, a battery electric vehicle. I think what you're hitting on is the industry has to be very thoughtful about how we've gotten a lot of this communication a little bit wrong. And as we've evolved, we haven't thought about how does this translate to your customer. If someone's nervous about a hybrid car, just because you said hybrid, that's crazy. Like, a hybrid in people's minds should just mean that thing is wildly gas efficient.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Can I ask you, when, just in your experience, in terms of cars, when you've been selling them yourself, or what you've observed from your colleagues or from other manufacturers, is the conversation when someone comes into a showroom, if you are going to get them interested in an EV, is it much more about reducing the negatives, their perceived negatives, like charging isn't that hard, or having a battery isn't something to be scared of, or whatever? Or are you also trying to sell them on the advantages, the positives of having an EV, like, the instant torque and the, whisper quiet operation and all the sort of the positives? Where does that conversation tend to go?
Again, I think with our demographics and our brand, I mean, Tesla, electric, this whole expo is about technology, about the future. And a lot of our customers still stuck with, hook up my Bluetooth.
Right. These are
Like, every day they come in and say, hook up my Bluetooth.
Yeah.
If we have a conversation about anything else, listen, it's going to happen. It should happen. It just was very fast for everyone.
No, I think what you're hitting on too is that, again, even in looking at how the Toyota brand, like the brand family, has worked for a long time. Back when Scion was introduced, the whole intent was to say, we're going to introduce a brand called Scion. We want cradle to grave customers. Right. We want to have you buy a Scion as a kid. We want to have you graduate into your Toyota when you've got a family going. And then as you kind of achieved your spot in life, you go to that Lexus because, damn it, you've earned it. And so I think what we're seeing in that kind of traditional process for brand development in automotive is that these customers who have grown accustomed to cars in the last 30 years or more, they are, as you described, they're like, no, I'm in the place in my life where I don't want to think that much.
Yes.
I want nice, and I'm going to buy nice.
100%.
But even that little word like hybrid, if it makes the hair on the back of the neck stand up, I think what you're showcasing, and this is where I think the industry needs to listen to the dealers a lot, is to say, I've been in conferences where I've had someone like such as yourself say something that honest, and then someone from the EV industry has said, well, you guys just have to figure it out.
Well,
and my response is, no, he just told you that we've done a bad job communicating.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does that ring true in your mind?
No question. And every time, exactly what you just said brought back a memory of watching the previous Secretary of Energy in an interview. And the person put them on the spot and said, listen, there's a mandate for 2030. The infrastructure, the charging, all the facilities obviously need a lot of work, and it has to get done. So the question was, what is the plan? I still can't believe he said it. He goes, whoever the person he was talking to, he goes, we just have to do it.
Well, and then unfortunately, the sentiment by saying that is that person, again, I think you're talking about Secretary Granholm at the time.
Buttigieg.
Pete Buttigieg, for transportation.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
transportation. Yeah.
No, for Pete, I get someone like Pete, and to get him to say that, I go, okay, dude, I hear what you're saying.
Give me a plan.
But
all I want is a plan.
Right, and I think the plan was, well, we know we have to. The have to is the why do we have to? And their perspective was, well, this is related to emissions. This is related to jobs. Like, if we as an industry, industries here in America, if we don't get our act together, everybody else is gonna be doing this and we're not. But to your point, like, that's a pretty bland answer to be like, so I don't blame you.
I'm looking for a plan.
Yeah, this is where I think the problem that happened with the previous administration is they had the best of intentions, but they did not know how to explain the value. And I think that is where it missed the mark in a lot of ways.
And I think it was definitely rushed.
I think, yeah.
There's no question about it.
Best of intentions, but then you say, what were we doing? So we talked, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just thinking in terms of where we are, right?
Right.
What I think is clearly the case, objectively, is that there are more charging facilities around. People are slowly, and not everybody, but getting kind of more used to the concept that EVs are normal cars, right? That people can drive them in normal ways, and that you can have good range, and you can go on longer trips if you want, and all of the other stuff. Plus, there are the advantages of being able to charge at home and everything else. Do you notice that filters through in terms of the people, the potential buyers that you are talking to? Are you seeing a kind of a change, even among a kind of an older demographic, of people slowly becoming a bit more comfortable with the concept of EVs, or is there still an awful lot of explaining that you have to do?
I think they're slowly coming to being comfortable with hybrids.
So no, that's a great answer. No, that's a great answer. And so I think, again, I asked you earlier.
And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I know the entire expo is about the future and what you guys are doing, and I applaud you for it. It's just what I see. And
when you say hybrids, do you mean like mild hybrids or plug-in hybrids?
Excuse me? There is no mild hybrid.
Yeah, so, no, honestly.
There's no 48-volt hybrid. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, all right. One you don't plug in, whereas one you do plug in.
I have, or had, this past year, an NX plug-in hybrid.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you plug it in?
I did every single night in a 110 outlet. I got between 30 and 40 miles based on weather and unheated garage.
Yeah, that's the trick.
And I was absolutely enthralled with it. It had an electric rear motor from the RZ. It had a direct drive, 300 horsepower. It was an F Sport. Loved it.
And you got gas how many times a month?
I got nervous and had to turn it off so I can use some gas. Thinking it would go bad. You like that old lawnmower?
Yeah, dude, yeah.
Oh my God, when was the last time I got gas?
Kick it in the shed, make sure this thing's not doing anything stupid. No, that's a great point, though.
Yeah.
It's just like, I haven't used this gas in so long, I gotta go stir it.
Now, the only concern was the limited availability of charging at my employment.
Sure, yeah, because you had to use the gas if you use all of your electric range.
I come to the dealership and I'm looking to plug in, and there's 3 chargers.
Yeah.
There's 2 outside, 1 in the service bay, 1 in the prep area.
And they want them for the cars they want to sell, presumably. They want to keep those for the cars that they're trying to sell. And do you feel...
And we bought in,
Yeah.
we have a bunch of salesmen buy the RZ,
Right.
It was wonderful. For me personally, I think it's the best Lexus that they've ever manufactured. Because it does everything that a Lexus does. It's smooth, it's quiet, it's linear, it's built like a Lexus, and I think that was their hardest thing, is they built a Lexus, they didn't build an electric Lexus.
Right. Well, and that's a very good point, is when people have been shopping for brands, the brand equity...
We can't compromise touch, interior, quietness, the luxury. Not knocking other cars, but I always use an example. I'll take 60,000. Lexus spent 40,000 on the car, or 45,000 on a car, and 15 grand on the battery. Where Tesla spends 40,000 on the battery and 20,000 on the car.
Oh yeah, that's a technology flip-flop. No, I mean, but really...
I mean, I'm talking about materials.
Yeah.
Single screen, no buttons, no touches, no...
I don't think they're paying any attention to us from over there, so...
Well, but this is a strategy of approach that they had, and again, frankly, from a business perspective, they said, look, all of the technology we're putting in, this being Tesla, they put all this technology into the car, drivetrain, battery, software, that was their bread and butter. They proved that without a shadow of a doubt that they had the right strategy. 100%. And then I said, my contention to people for a long time in the industry was, I think it is very, very difficult to develop the software and drivetrain approach that they did. It's very difficult, and they proved that they could do it. For them to then say, we're also going to then manufacture cars around this.
Luxury car.
Well, right. But for them to do that in a way that say, like, we've got to get this into a package that people still see as a kind of an iconic thing that they want to buy, that's where the brands like Lexus and others that have been iconic luxury brands for a long time, for them to start all of a sudden saying, we're going to become software developers and we're going to do battery tech, that's a steep learning curve that it's not the prowess. But I think landing the plane on this is what you described as most important. Is you're still having people that say, hybrid is what I'm now comfortable with. If we're talking about, I always joke it's a lily pad.
Yeah.
You're a frog hopping across a pond.
Sure.
And you hop on the gas lily pad, you hop on the hybrid lily pad. Maybe one day you'll hop to that plug-in hybrid lily pad.
100%.
And then you'll hop to that pure electric lily pad when you're fully ready. So if that's the case, and again, I asked you earlier, I said, are people going to rush into showrooms to buy cars that run on fuels that they don't understand? You said no. So is it that the industry needs to appreciate that we have not explained the fueling experience in the way that people are comfortable with?
I do, but I also think the quick early introduction of, say, the Lexus RZ, if the battery range, and we all talk about range, and I know it's a sore subject for everybody or not, if that car was introduced with an acceptable to the consumer range, whatever that number is.
400 or something.
Whatever it is, yeah. I think it would have been a super home run. I think it would have just blown the entire industry away.
Well, there are cars here today that have 400 miles of range. Some of them have almost 500.
Yeah, but not
in
not
New
that,
York,
but not that Lexus.
in January, in an unheated garage.
I mean, that's again, we talked about
Real world.
No, we talked in the last panel, is that in certain conditions, not the case. If you have a car that has 250 miles of range in a cold weather day in New York, no, that's not going to be
You're
200.
$120.
Yeah, well, again, you're going to have it a lot lower. So in that respect, it's a combination of, does the car have the range I know it needs in all conditions, combined with, can I go fill it up?
Right.
So right now, in terms of the cars you're selling, which drivetrain is the most popular? Is it
Most
the plug-in
popular
hybrid?
right now is still gas.
Still gas,
Yes.
right?
We're having difficulties building. NX is very popular as a hybrid.
Yeah.
The RX is very popular as a hybrid. People are paying list price or more. They're waiting several months to get them. And
And when you say hybrid, are they plug-in hybrids?
Okay, I'm going to stop
Just
you again.
hybrids.
When he says hybrid, there is no plug-in hybrid.
correct.
There's no plug-in hybrid.
It is
No,
just,
no,
yeah, the
sorry.
terminology is just hybrid, because when he says that, it runs on gas only.
Right.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Only gas. The only time you plug that thing in, if it's a plug-in hybrid, is if he says plug-in hybrid. Because if it's just hybrid, that is just a gas car.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Thank you for the
no, but
clarification.
again, people
you're
will
right.
watch this later, and I
no,
think
for sure.
this high camera, this is what the industry has completely messed up, and we're so sorry. Is that what you've pointed out is so fundamental. As an industry, we have to give the dealers the tools to speak about how this product works. The fact that you've had to ask multiple times, like, do you mean plug-in hybrid? It's like, this car runs on gas, this car runs on electricity and gas that you fill up, and this car runs on electricity. That's it.
Yeah. The easy way to explain for a customer for me was, we have 2.4 liter turbo motors for our gas. Right on the label, recommended premium. In New York, it's almost $2, $1.80 more than regular in some cases.
Damn,
maybe
really?
more.
I know it was like 30
Oh yeah,
cents.
you can get $3 a gallon for regular. You'll pay almost $5 for premium.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
In Oregon, that's like a 30-cent difference.
No, it's tremendous here.
Jeez, okay.
So, the hybrid car runs on regular gas.
Oh, does it?
So that is like a game changer to start. You fill it up with 13 gallons and you get 500 miles.
Yep. No, that's a set it, forget it mentality.
That's a mic drop. I mean,
If someone has a car that goes 300 miles range that's pure electric, and they say, okay, that's a pure electric car, I can plug it in at my house and fill it up every single day and always go home to my fill-up, that aspect is still, again, a selling point. But to your point, that concern that your demographic has that's buying your products,
Yeah.
it's like, that's a learning curve that if you can't make it so simple that I can just say yes in 5 seconds,
Yeah.
why would I? Right? Because again, that cost of fuel is important to people either way.
and just cost of ownership. You know, the hybrid-like electric cars, I've seen Prius brakes go 100,000 miles. Like, I see a Prius on a lift when I worked for Toyota, and they even looked at the brakes. I was like, what are you doing? They go, yeah, we're just checking them.
Wow. Well, that's, and again, one of the biggest
Because of
benefits.
regenerative braking.
Right, the biggest benefits about it is, and we haven't even touched on that much this weekend at all, is
that's
that
very important.
if you're just driving along and all of a sudden you just decide to go, I'm letting off the throttle a bit, and that car slows down naturally,
Yeah.
your brakes are just hanging out.
Absolutely.
They're not doing nothing. So all this tech that we're trying to get people to buy, you're on the front lines of this. And again, you're talking to folks that, again, as you mentioned, demographically, it's like maybe older generation people saying, look, this is a car I want for comfort, right? But as Toyota as a brand starts to represent all demographics of buyers, you got to build them in.
No question.
Yeah, so how can we as an industry do better? Is it purely that we have to define the technology better so you can close a sale?
I think it's going to take a long time. I really do. I think the 2030 mandate, when this first started, my personal opinion was 20 years for a full adoption. And even then, I think we have friends who just had a swap meet down Queens Boulevard with big V8s and old 50s and 60s and 70 muscle cars. You know, I have to admit, I had a plug-in hybrid. I had an ES hybrid. I now have a IS 350 V6 310 horsepower sports car. F-Sport.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know,
Couldn't splurge the ISF? I mean,
can't get them. And we're in New York, you need all-wheel drive.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. But honestly, you know, when I step on the gas, it feels great. It sounds terrific, and
it's a visceral response, right?
There's no question about it. Yeah.
I mean, the feeling again. I mean, I will go any day next to you and race you in my car, and I'll beat you, and it'll be fine.
no question about it.
It'll be quiet, but it'll beat you.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like it.
No, that's the thing is that Americana aspect of vehicle ownership that we've grown very accustomed to.
When that carburetor opens up and that V6 kicks in and you're in that fifth, sixth gear and it stays there and you're doing 80, 85, it's just it just feels.
But this is, if I may say, a very kind of American
No,
thing.
that's what I said. That's
It
very
is
Americana. Yeah.
Listen, that's
Because when I've driven
Makes
cars
this
like that, I
country great.
just thought they were very noisy.
Well, so what we're talking about though is that this is the cultural aspects of a lot of what we're trying to frame up.
Yeah.
And Bob, this has been a very great conversation. I appreciate you coming out and being candid.
listen. It's important.
No, again, and for those who have been listening, again, this is the EV Reality Check booth. It is powered by greencars.com. We've been having conversations with people from throughout the industry all weekend long, especially people that are on the front lines of the sales side of this. And Bob, your insights, again, this is what the industry needs to be hearing. And to your point, the language that was used, for example, when it was like, hey, how are we going to do this? What's the plan? We just have to. We need more than that. We need to provide
a plan.
We need, well, the plan and also the clarity on how it will work for everyone. And I think that is what the expo is about. It brings these conversations to light and also invites more people out to have these discussions in a way that they can say, oh, I learned something. So, I mean, we miss on anything. I know that was a bing, bang, boom conversation.
Well, absolutely. And, we're hearing a perspective from you which is a little different from most of the people that are coming here.
I agree 100%.
And that's the perspective we need to hear.
I was a little concerned.
Well, you shouldn't be concerned.
No, Bob.
And I may not personally agree with everything you're saying, but this is the conversation we have to have.
When I was given the opportunity, he sent me a word track, and I went, I don't agree. I'm sorry. I have to give you my retail, consumer-driven, retrospect on it.
But what I love that was what we landed on when I asked the question: are consumers going to rush into a showroom to buy a car that runs on a fuel they don't understand? And you win. No. There you go. So, all right, this is the EV Reality Check booth, powered by greencars.com. Thank you so much, Bob, for coming by. Great conversation. We got more coming up.